Thank you for getting up in the morning and coming out and listening to us speak. I'm going to be talking about the therapeutic benefits of CBD, a little bit of history of it, and a lot of the research that I had found. Actually, as current as last week, the stuff that I had researched and found. So, CBD derived from industrial hemp has been about a year. More and more people are finding the therapeutic benefits of CBD for their issues and ailments. There have been hundreds of clinical research tests done with CBD. All of the papers I have read have come back showing the medicinal benefits of CBD, whether it's ingested by oil, gummies, pills, or cells. I'll be going into some research today and findings describing the overall benefits for the users. I will explain some of the background and when it first got started, the significant findings in the research, and how the understanding and astounding benefits of it. You know, the wrap-up is going to be a discussion of everything we've talked about. There's been new legislation introduced by top-ranking members of the U.S. House of Agriculture Committee that would require the federal food and agricultural regulators to treat hemp-derived CBD as a dietary supplement as soon as this year. They actually put a bill through and we're waiting to see what happens with it. That alone is going to drive CBD through a huge upswing, and hopefully we'll have a lot more people taking it and it'll be able to help them. Unfortunately, the hemp industry is not doing as fairly good as the CBD industry is. With what the USDA just did with their new regulations and changing Delta-9 into total THC, it's going to really flatline a lot of the flower production because it pretty much killed most of the stuff in the South this year. But you can hear more about the total THC thing with Sean Valor speaking at 3 o'clock in room 7. His whole thing is on total THC. All right. There's a lot of stigma associated with CBD due to the stigma that's associated with industrial hemp and that everybody thinks it's cannabis. Many people, including politicians, still think industrial hemp and CBD is just another version of pot. One of the many problems within the industry is association with it and creates a stigma that we have run into with almost every single person we try to speak with. All right. I had spoken with one of the major sports teams, and we're doing a documentary. It's called Everything CBD, as you see on the shirts. It's a documentary / TV show because HBO is in negotiation with us to turn it into an actual TV show. And since we're here and the Dallas Stars were playing last night, I contacted the team and got a hold of the marketing director and asked him if I could interview one or two of the players about if CBD has helped them and how they're doing with it. And he said that the team understands that it is legal, but the NHL it's illegal. And not only NHL is illegal, that the management and ownership of the Dallas Stars refuses to let any player speak on it because of its association stigma with cannabis. So there's one major place right here in Dallas that won't let people even talk about it, yet they said that they know the players are taking it, okay, but they won't let them talk about it at all. And they said if any of the players talk about it, they could be, benched or fined or whatever they would do to them. The United States alone, there's been about 15 million people that have been using and buying CBD oil, and it's over 300,000 throughout the UK. People taking CBD are not potheads. There are grandmothers looking to alleviate their arthritis, the disabled suffering from debilitating pain, and people who can find relief from anxiety and depression. CBD offers a safe, natural alternative for millions of people who suffer from common ailments. Fortunately, the tides are turning as research has brought to new light benefits of CBD. The World Anti-Doping Association announced approval for CBD use, sprays, tinctures, and creams for all athletes worldwide. And with the Summer Olympics coming, that is amazing that all these people can actually use it now. We still have a long way to go to change the regulations so that it's benefits for everybody. The legality of it is kind of on the useless side when the farmers aren't going to be able to grow the correct CBD. The hemp needed to create the CBD, so that there's going to be issues with how much is available and what is grown and what is in it until we can get the regulations changed. So, like I said, we're shooting a documentary about everything CBD from A to Z. We're trying to erase the misconceptions so that society can enjoy the benefits of CBD and find the products to be more meaningful for the health outcomes. As continued effort to influence federal government to allow this and let the people actually heal. The body of research is growing, taking CBD and does produce profound health benefits for people. I will discuss some of those research that is done. I examined a whole bunch of studies. I pulled the best research findings and best use of pure, all-natural, full-spectrum CBD oil. It's the all-natural substance that could be the next wonder supplement of the century, in contrast to the Epidiolex, the pharmaceutical knockoff version that actually creates severe liver damage, so everybody take it. CBD has a sedative, antitoxin effect, as well as an anti-anxiety and antidepressant effects on the brain, all without THC. The human body has its own processing system called the endocannabinoid system. The ECS system is involved in regulation of pain, mood, and cognition, as well as immune functions and metabolism. Though there are many receptors found throughout our body, two have been identified and highly researched. CBD1 receptors found in the brain regions are involved in memory, motor regulation, while CBD2 receptors primarily are in the cells of the immune system in the bone marrow, but when activated, the receptors create an anti-inflammatory immune response. That is why when you do take the CBD and you just take the pure stuff, you actually feel it almost instantly. The ECS system plays an important role in the process of appetite, mood, memory, and pain sensation. There have been numerous clinical trials that have provided evidence of therapeutic potential over a wide range of ailments, such as anxiety, sleep, hunger, multiple sclerosis, migraines, autism, pain, and PTSD, and is also helping to relieve the opiate and alcohol addiction in some people. CBD derived from industrial hemp is shown in clinical trials to benefit treatment for patients with chronic nausea, depression, headaches, poor appetite, and chronic pain, and many, many types of anxiety. So, its effectiveness in medical conditions. Research into CBD's effectiveness in medical conditions is in its infancy, but the initial data holds promise for people who have medical conditions and possibly treat their conditions naturally without side effects. Hemp derived from CBD, reported by a medical news agency, said it is effectively being used as a pain reliever to treat illnesses such as chronic pain and arthritis. It uses it through the TRPV1 receptor through sensitivity and expression and increase the symptomology of the disease. Other areas of therapeutic application have been studied are epilepsy, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, and the inhibition of tumor growth. So, as you can see, this stuff really is a wonder drug. People taking it has changed their lives. I have a few stories from people here at the event. I have stories from people back home in Virginia that I'm going to express a few of them that people have told us that we're going to have on our documentary. The FDA has approved CBD for epilepsy for both children and adults, showing that it is exceedingly safe and relaxing for the body and helping with pain. It does not suppress breathing centers of the brain the way opioids and other pharmaceuticals do. You don't have to worry about all these other issues and actually creating asthma in you because you're taking opiates or you're taking other pharmaceuticals. The director of the National Institute of Drug Abuse stated CBD oil is safe. Many of the studies using CBD are done using mice to use in a correlation between how they're going to affect humans. This one study that I read had used older mice and younger mice. They had two different groups of them. One set of older mice they gave the CBD to, which is pure full spectrum, and in the other group they didn't give the CBD to. They ran them through all the tests. They ran them through the mazes. The mice giving the CBD, the older mice, actually were able to keep up with, and at some parts run faster than the younger mice. When they dissected the mice, the older mice, they found that the brain of the older mice on CBD was the same as the younger mice, and that it had grown new lesions and new pieces to it and actually looked like a young brain. Compared to the older ones they had that were more grayer, they didn't have the new pieces to them, the mice were more slower and lethargic. What? I believe the study was done, it was like almost 6 months, because they had all these mice that they were doing, and they dissected like almost 100. And they found in every instance with those mice that were given CBD, and their brains matched the younger mice. And many of them actually outperformed the younger mice on all these little mazes and traps that they had. So, stress in our daily lives is shown to create bouts with anxiety and fear. Many people are unable to sleep. This can have a dramatic effect of falling into a depression. There are way too many people who are currently relying on pharmaceuticals to help relieve issues of stress and trauma in their daily lives. Now that CBD is more readily available, the amount of people who are using it increases yearly to help combat their stress in work and home environments. It has been reported by many clinicians that the relief CBD gives from anxiety without negative side effects. Many people are claiming that CBD has improved the quality of their life, brought them some sort of stability which they had not had before. The World Health Organization says that CBD may have some use for a number of medical conditions. According to research, CBD can calm the brain to support the hippocampus, which is the brain area most important for healthy emotion and regulation. Research study in 2014 helped explain why CBD works in treating depression. CBD has a positive interaction with serotonin receptors in the brain. Serotonin impacts the full range of bodily functions, including emotional state and feelings of well-being and happiness, and thereby keeping serotonin levels balanced. You stave off depression and you feel much better. The cannabinoid system plays a major role in keeping the body itself balanced. When everything is working in harmony, our emotions and negative effects of stress are kept in check and you don't feel it, at least not as much. In my own research and working with my clinical patients, those who are using CBD stated they experienced a lot less stress in their lives and they were more functional. A few of them actually came back and said that, after about a month of taking it, that they were feeling really strange. They've never really felt this way before. Well, after a couple hours of trying to pull it out of them, what was going on, it turns out they were feeling normal. Because for the first time in their life, they had no stress, they had no anxiety, their pain was released. They had these sensations and had no idea what they were. It's because they had been stressed from day one. Because of the trauma in their lives and the stuff going on, they had so much stress and anxiety built up that when it went away, they actually didn't know what that felt like. And I'm actually a practicing psychologist, so that's why I have a clinical practice and I have clients. So, let's see. Spoken with over 1,000 people who are currently using CBD as a daily supplement. They come from a diverse range of communities, ages, and nationalities. We get to speak with a lot of people at these national events that we speak at. In towns we visit, Sean and I are in the fields with all the farmers with our hands deep in dirt, inspecting their plants and helping them out with everything we can do. All of them have expressed how much better they are doing taking CBD, how much their pains and their aches, and how much farmers and how much you're in the ground and all the work you're doing in 18-hour days. They all told us how much better they're doing with the CBD, that they don't have half as many of those issues and problems, and that every day is a new day and they're actually able to function better. So I do believe this is going to be a miracle find of the century. They are still researching it and have found new cannabinoids, one of them which they called CBDP. Some of you may have read the research. And this partner with it is THCP. It's supposed to have 33% more of an effect compared to THC. They still don't know what exactly it does, but it's like a precursor to the other cannabinoids inside the CBD. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that CBD is going to be the end-all for your problems. Severe emotional issues or life's issues waiting in the background. CBD is not going to automatically fix the issues that you have not dealt with or worked through. It's not going to change your personality, and there are still things you need to work on as a person in order to have a whole life change. But I believe the CBD from my research will give you a head start to be better, calmer, and be able to deal with those issues and work through them, if that's what you want to do. Okay, the ultimate tool against mental illness. Trauma, severe anxiety, depression, autism, ADHD, and bipolar disorder all have been treated with CBD oil. It helps people experiencing these afflictions with the effects of mental illness, bringing them more in line with true normality and symptom relief without all the side effects of all the psychotropic drugs. Millions of people inflicted with mental illness can be and should be using hemp derived from CBD to help ease their issues they're going through. It's a perfect tool for therapeutic level practice to help all those people who are suffering because they really have nowhere to turn. And I ran a methadone clinic in New York for about 2 years. I was director, and I did all the intakes for the facility. It was over 100 a day. I had a client list of 1,000 people. And it's what these people go through their lives it's so sad. I mean, the stories of what they had to do and once they got addicted, whether it's crack or whether it's heroin, and they're on methadone to try and help it. Methadone is actually the worst drug to come off of than opiates. I've seen these people relapse and have to go in hospitals and be tied down because it is so severe trying to take them off of it. I had wished that we had this CBD available back then in the early 90s because it would have made such a difference for all of my clients. The ones that I spoke to recently said they are doing 100% better than they were back then, that they're almost cured, that they're heading toward being cured, and a lot of them actually got into the field and are helping other places at other clinics because of the CBD that they're taking. So it has huge possibilities, and I mean, I know just the opiate methadone crisis that's going on in the clinic that I ran, it's a terrifying thing to see these people day in and day out and what they have to deal with. Okay. Serotonin system. CBD targets a particular serotonin receptor called the serotonin 1A. One of its many functions of the receptor is to control anxiety and stress. So a lot of the stuff that we go through has to do with our serotonin levels, whether they go up or down. Scientific research has shown CBD to have a positive effect on inflammation, pain, anxiety, psychosis, spasms, and PTSD. A 2012 study that cannabis oil had antipsychotic effects in the use of treatment of schizophrenia, which is amazing because I also worked at 2 New York State mental hospitals, and to see people going through schizophrenia is a very sad thing. It's a scary thing if they're going off the wall and bouncing all over the place, but it's a sad thing because there really was no hope for anything except lithium, and then they're doing the lithium shuffle and they're drooling, and I mean, it completely ruins lives. 2010-2011 study found that CBD reduces symptoms of social anxiety. Those people who are diagnosed with social anxiety, brain scans revealed changes in the blood flow to the regions of the brain linked to the feelings of anxiety. Not only did it make them feel better, but it changed the way their brains reacted to anxiety. A 2015 analysis of previous studies conducted on CBD oil showed promising treatment for numerous forms of anxiety, including social anxiety disorder, panic disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and PTSD. A 2016 case study looked into CBD and how it reduced the symptoms of PTSD and anxiety provoked sleep disorder in children with a history of trauma. It not only reduced the anxiety, but it helped them go to sleep, which a lot of these parents said was amazing because these kids would be running across the walls and none of them would ever sleep. They actually got sleep themselves for the first time in a long time. 2017 review looked at the possible benefits of panic disorder and showed positive results. A dosage of 300 milligrams showed notable decrease in anxiety levels in one study. And another one, 600 milligrams of CBD, showed a significant reduction in anxiety measures of people with social anxiety disorder. Now, I'm sure all of you are on Facebook and all the other social media, and you've heard of the ghosting term, where people just are there and all of a sudden they just disappear. A lot of it has to do with social anxiety. I mean, there are just too much people that have social anxiety today and fearful coming out of the house. I mean, I've talked to people who have boyfriends or girlfriends on Facebook. They have no real life connection. They actually, everything they do is through social media because they won't go into a crowd. They won't stand up in front of people. They won't come to an event like this because they break down and go into shakes, and the anxiety is overwhelming. It's almost like having a heart attack with some people, especially how bad it gets with certain people. One study showed CBD could reduce social anxiety in a way that is comparable to pharmaceuticals, over-the-counter drugs like Valium, without all the side effects of Valium. A 2012 double-blind randomized clinical trial showed benefits of CBD for those experiencing psychosis. Patients taking the CBD had fewer side effects, no problems with movement, weight gain, or hormonal dysregulation, which are common with antipsychotic side effects. So, if we're not getting the benefits from your CBD, it could be the source of your CBD. We did a thing through, we're from Virginia, and we went through Tennessee. Tennessee is actually a state that went completely 100% legal. Every person in the state can possess it and buy it no matter what. State of Virginia, you have to have a license. If you don't have that license, you go into a store. You cannot buy it because you can't possess it. If you do buy it, walk out the door, you're arrested for marijuana. And you have to deal with a marijuana charge. But in Tennessee, it's open, it went open and free, which is one of the few states that I know of that actually did that. So, right now, you can find CBD in every gas station across the country. The question is, do you want to buy gas station CBD? 2016 study published in the Journal of Regulatory Science tested 23 products with hemp oil and cannabinoid label claims. Purchased over the internet, 18 tested positive presence for at least one cannabinoid. 3 of them contained less than 0.01% of a cannabinoid. 4 products labeled as CBD had nothing in it at all but oil. If you want to take CBD for health reasons, you'll certainly not get the results you wish from gas station CBD, it appears. However, there are unscrupulous companies abound, and the regulations are not in place to protect you or your loved ones from what they are doing. It's sort of like the Wild West. That's what we call it wherever we go. This is why it's important to buy full spectrum CBD, and what studies we have read, discussed, and used, they all use full spectrum. 2 companies I know of that produce very good products. One of them we met at the Southern Hemp Expo in September is Blue Hemp out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Their products are phenomenal. Their pills, their tinctures. I mean, within 5 minutes of taking it, you want to run a marathon. And then online, there's a company called Just CBD Store, which we actually use ourselves. And I can tell you the reason why I'm standing here this morning and get out of bed was because of their products. Because it is phenomenal. Completely phenomenal. Compared to some of the other ones out there, I'm not going to go too much into that. But depending on what is in the tincture is going to be how it affects you. And you really need to be an educated consumer to decide, is this a product that I want? Is this a product I can take and won't get me sick? Okay. Let's see. The lady who did our shirts for us up in our area, her husband has Parkinson's disease. And she had told us a story about what they're going through and how the meds were getting worse, and they came off the meds and put them on CBD. But her doctor found out that he was taking CBD and turned around flat out and said to her, if you don't stop giving him CBD, I will no longer see him. So she's in complete fear that he's not going to get better, he's going to get worse because the doctor's refusing to let him take a natural product that's actually helping him. Okay? Up in Virginia, we have a whole bunch of Mennonite communities. You know, the Mennonite communities, they are really strict and, you know, they don't like dealing with outsiders. I made good friends with one of the owners of one of these Dutch street stores, 70-year-old gentleman. They're selling CBD in the store. He said 5 or 6 products a day. He said every day he wakes up, he feels even better. And 6 months ago, before he started taking it, he goes, John, my days are numbered. Now he's up running around all over the place. And we actually stopped in to see him before we came here. Because we asked him if he would interview with us for our documentary. And he looked afraid. Like I, pulled a gun on him. It was ridiculous. And he said that I can't do that because I would be thrown out of my religion if I go on air or on TV stating that I take CBD oil. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. You have one doctor that's telling people you can't take it or I won't see you. You have a whole religion telling people that they're taking it but won't acknowledge it. Okay? And then the same lady who did our shirts and has a husband with Parkinson's, we said, well, what if we put you behind the screen? She goes, John, if you do that and my church finds out, I'll be ostracized from my church, and right now that's all my husband has is his church. So what are you supposed to do? Where are we supposed to take this? It's something that is so natural and so healthy that it is changing people's lives. There was an NFL star that stopped by yesterday that's supposed to be speaking for a documentary. They told him he was going to be in a wheelchair the rest of his life. He started taking a full regimen of CBD stuff, and within several months, he's actually up jogging. I mean, that is unbelievable. Another lady stopped by and told me her cancer story, how they gave her a death sentence and put a number on her head, and this is the day you're going to die. All right, within 3 months of taking the full series of CBD oil, she's 1.5 years clear and free of having cancer. The FDA considers this an evil drug. Many of us consider the FDA an evil drug. I mean, it's ridiculous that they don't see the truth in what's going on and how millions of people are being helped by it. I think there was, what, $5 billion in sales last year of CBD oil. That's going to tell people something. It really has to open people's eyes that this is something that everybody needs to use, that everybody experiences stress or anxiety or other functions, and those people that do have mental illness. There is another way to go. It's not, you don't just have to sit and take those pharmaceuticals and have to deal with a list this long of items that you're going to have to experience that may or may not help you for 5 minutes in one day. So we decided to do the documentary to open people's minds, to try and dispel stigma, to try and help the medical doctors, the churches, and everybody else say, hey, maybe we should take a second look at this. Because 10 to 1, all those pastors are taking it, and they're just not willing to open their mouth and tell the truth about it. So we're going to be doing a huge thing throughout the South, and going to the churches and giving seminars. We're interviewing everybody. We're looking for people who have a story to come and interview with us and be on the documentary, because we want to get the word out that this is not cannabis. This is not an evil drug, and that it's something that everybody needs. And a lot of people, it's changing their lives for the better. And it's just phenomenal that our regulators, our government, is trying to throw it back in the garbage can and put a lid on it. I have no answer for that. I mean, I don't have any time to. Each one of us has sent stuff to our senators and sent stuff to all the other people with no responses. Or you get the standard reply from them, yep, we're looking into it. Summarizing this, what we've gone through, CBD is not evil. Current research and studies show tremendous therapeutic benefits of CBD. So if you're experiencing any of the symptomology on any kind of a level, CBD might be the one thing at this point that can actually help you improve your life without taking over-the-counter pills. Our book that we wrote, Farming Industrial Hemp, is a complete sort of manual. It's not only for farmers, for people using CBD, it's an education book. Anybody who wants to learn more or wants to know more about mycotoxins, pesticides, how to grow, what to grow with. We cover everything in the book, everything in this book. I have 15 pages of scientific data backing everything in the book. The book was submitted to the 2019 Medical Marijuana Awards, not by us, and they awarded us with a prize out of the UK for our hemp consulting, our hemp growing, and our speaking capabilities. It was basically done on the book and everything that I sent them. So there's a process here, and there's for people who need the help, but there's also a result if everybody can just step aside of all the bullshit and garbage, of all the baggage that they're having, and everything else that's going on, and just say, hey, this works for me, it's going to work for you. Do we have to do this one at a time? Pass it on one person at a time? Because if that's what it takes, it's better than the result of everybody, having to take pharmaceuticals and being sick all the time anyway. So that's what I have at the moment. We can open this up to anybody have any questions? Sure. We have a booth, number 48. Our company is called Hemp, just because it sounds cool. We also have the, like I said, the Therapeutic Organics, which we are coming out with our own tinctures, but we're currently looking into facilities we want to use to help create that, because we are looking for pure organic stuff that's going to help people. Yes?
CBD and THC, CB1 and CB2 receptors.
I can't hear you. Could you come up? Well, the THC oil that you can get if you get the pure oil, it has a lot of the same effects. It runs in different receptors. The research really has not been done extensively. They know it works for Parkinson's, they know it works for epilepsy, but they haven't really, there's no funding. Okay, the DEA won't fund anything. They won't expand their medical marijuana program so that the researchers and universities can get the stuff. Right now, it's $3,000 for a research license and close to 24 months to get it. So they have everything on hold.
So you think there's benefits to both? You think both of them show benefits in similar ways?
They do. If you get the pure CBD THC oil, it does have the same reactions, and it does help people. But the problem is that some people said it does give you this quasi effect, not a high, but sort of like a feeling more than what CBD gives you. The THC oil, so some of it, depending on where it comes from, it still kind of has a little bit level of the THC that will affect you. I know they say that it's negligible, but it has shown up in people's urines. But for those people who are taking it by the oil, they usually use it for a specific thing. But until the research is out there to see if it helps everything, we really can't say. And until we get the DEA and the FDA and the Congress to say, okay, it's an open market to study it, we might really not know what exactly that will help with. It really needs to be thoroughly researched across the board. CBD research is really taking off, which is great. If Congress enacts that and turns it into a food supplement, that's going to be unbelievable because we can all do research. If Trump will finally legalize marijuana in the country, it will open it up for people to do research. People can then grow it. You can have more researchers going out there and doing stuff. They'll produce the THC oil along with the CBD, and you can do human trials on it, where we can see how it affects different things and what differently THC oil does compared to pure CBD oil. But right now, it's sort of like a big ball. And we don't really know everything about what that helps. We know it stops epileptic seizures. We know it does help people with Parkinson's. Excuse me?
THC or
The THC oil. Because it was limited, the studies are limited to those people who have those licenses, and it takes so long to get it. We're still waiting for us. We applied for it, and it's in limbo. So, because we would like to do the research. We have a place that'll do the oils for us and produce all this stuff, because we would actually like to be able to do that. But the problem is once I get the THC oil, they won't let me do it on human subjects. So we have to change all those regulations so that people can come in, you can do the studies, they can sign off the releases, and we can see if it will help all these other symptoms and mental health and PTSD, working with the veterans coming back, with all the social anxiety going on. It could be even more tremendous, but we just don't know yet because the research is not available. It's coming in slowly on that because they won't give you the green light or the ticket to do it. So, yes, the two companies. It's BLUHEN. I'm from New York. Okay, I'm born and raised in the Bronx, so the words come out a little differently from us. We live in Virginia at the moment. I call it Bluin, BLUHEN. The other one is Just CBD Store. Both of their products are phenomenal, really are. They work because I know I've taken them. The Bluin guys were at the Southern Hemp Expo in September, and that stuff was unreal. I mean, people were walking around with smiles on their faces. It was like the Joker without paint. Everybody had this huge smile that after they left their table. It was just phenomenal. So, I mean, I know that is pure because they grow it, they process it, they're a one-stop place. They don't bring it in for other people. They have their growers, their processing system, and they control every little piece of it so that there are no microtoxins, there are no pesticides. Everything that comes through that facility is 100% pure, okay? And you don't have to worry about this whole chromatography thing. I won't even get on that subject today about how many lies are going out there about how that stuff works and doesn't work. But I know these companies because we use the products, and we only take the organic, and we only deal with the companies that are doing pure stuff. As far as like research and heard, no one's ever overdosed on it at all. And dosage is going to be on a per person basis. That 300 milligrams were people who had severe anxiety, where they literally were so feared of everything, they were incapable of leaving their homes. They were incapable of going out It depends on the general anxiety disorder, the social anxiety disorder, the obsessive compulsive disorder that you have, and how intense it is for you. So some people may only need 150 milligrams. Some people may only need 10 drops twice a day. What the study did was they looked at the more severe people with those illnesses. They gave them 300 milligrams and it worked fine. The other ones they gave the 600 because that, let's say, mental illness is a little bit less functioning, okay? And they have a lot more issues and more predominant things going on, that it was helping them that they had to double the dose. So it's really going to be something you have to look in for yourself and decide, okay, I tried 10 drops today, it did so-so, maybe tomorrow you try 12 drops. And the day after that, if that worked good, you try and go up to 15 to 20 and see how you're feeling and your progress of the day. You know, you may find your level at like 25 or 30 drops per day and you're having an unbelievable day. You have no pain, you have no stress. Doesn't matter what happens at work, doesn't matter about all those people, because you're just put together and you're in harmony with yourself. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't tell you to go out there and drink 5 or 6 vials at once. You're going to be in the bathroom puking. You just have to be honest with yourself and be realistic. You don't want to drink a gallon of this stuff because it probably will do something to you. But if you start off with a small dose and work your way up, which is how we do it therapeutically, is you start with something and you give them a little bit and see how it works. And then you increase it until you maximize the effect for the person. And that they're feeling it and all their symptoms start going on. And coming from my background as a psychologist, we do things therapeutically. And we're not going to rush in and hand you a vial, so here, down this. Because you don't know the reaction a person's going to get. You don't know how their gastro system is. You don't know other things going on. You have to take into consideration their body, their functions, and their life. It will work, but it's going to depend on the level for them. And no one person has a set thing that says everybody should take 25 drops. Depending on your size, depending on what you're going through, it could differ. And it's got to be a personal thing that either you go for somebody to help you do that. So I would recommend if you're going to try and do that, you get a notebook. You write down, today I took this, and you write down what the effects were for the day.